back to another episode of Route to Resilience, the podcast where we explore how to rise stronger through life's challenges and nourish the mind, body, and soul along the way. I'm your host, Anupa, and in today's episode, we're diving into the big, brave leap that so many of us are either considering or are experiencing right now, stepping away from a traditional role and into the world of entrepreneurship. This journey isn't just a career change, it's a complete shift in identity, energy, and self-belief. And we're going beyond the surface today, beyond branding and business plans, to talk about what it really takes to evolve into the entrepreneur you're meant to be. Joining me for this powerful conversation is the incredible Adriana D'Onofrio, a transformational life and business coach who helps visionary leaders and creatives build soul-aligned, sustainable businesses from the inside out. So thank you so much for joining me, Adriana. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast today, and I'm really excited to have this conversation with you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, and I can't wait to dive into this topic.
So I'm really, really excited to have you here, partly because I know that we both have had the same experiences and we're going through the same kind of journey. And I think that you and we align a lot when it comes to this kind of topic, because we both know that transitioning from employment to entrepreneurship is more than just a career change. So for me, for example, it's been the most challenging time of my life, but I call it a bit of a beautiful struggle, because even though it's really, really challenging, as you know, it's also where most of my growth is happening in such a short space of time. So let's start there. Tell me about what you think about that and what is happening under the surface.
It's so true. It's so true. And agreed. It is probably one of the hardest things and most rewarding things I've ever done. And like you said, in such a bittersweet way, because entrepreneurship it's a mirror. You cannot go through it and get to it without going through it, really, is what I mean. And by that, like you really, everything is a reflection of, it's going to bring up all of your self-doubts, all of your wounds, all of it. It's going to bring it all up to the surface for you to have to work through in order to really have it, reap some rewards and show things about yourself and reveal things about yourself. And I mean, you said it too, the biggest thing is you're going from being told who you are and what to do kind of situation to following a purpose, to following a calling, to following something that's bigger than yourself. Most of the time it becomes about, what are we all really here to do and to accomplish in this world and in humanity? And it also becomes a selfless journey and a very deep self journey at the same time. But
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I agree with everything you just said there. Please continue.
It's one of the hardest things. And if I'm being completely honest, I'm still in it. It doesn't stop. And even in the beginnings, it's really hard. You go from being able to rely on something that's pretty steady to having to really only be able to depend on yourself and your own power. And it really ends up becoming about how to step into your power and how to remember. One of the things I call it is creating your own motivation, which is what I find to be the hardest thing, because there are so many days where you lose sight of the mission or your due north or what it's really all about, and you start to question, okay, am I crazy? Am I going out of my mind? What the heck did I do? Like, is this really gonna, pay off one day, and is it gonna be worth it? And, am I really, in alignment with what I'm supposed to be doing? And a lot of that ends up coming up with this vulnerability and your vision and you having to constantly find your motivation and create your motivation for yourself. But within that is also, lies the magic, because creating that resilience of being able to, nope, I got this. Get up. Let's go. Create your own motivation again. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I know it deep down in my soul on a very cellular level. And you find the strength to keep pushing forward.
Yeah, and I think that's the key thing about what I was trying to allude to earlier about because you're so accountable and responsible for yourself, there is no safety net. There's nobody else to blame. You can't run to a manager or, your team team to say, hey, like I need some help with this. You're kind of on your own. So let's talk about the sort of identity shifts that a few people talk about when creating their own business or doing it on their own. What are some of the inner changes that people need to make when they are leaving a traditional role?
For me personally, I know it was massively about because in my specific corporate career, I was a very high level, multiple six figure earning executive title and role, and it went from being defined by it's this very corporate structured mindset that we all get wrapped up in, and it becomes so much of an identity in who you are, and we get so wrapped up in all this conditioning from corporate traditional, 9 to 5 jobs of, and this was my previous definition of success. And that's really what it is. It's about redefining success in your identities for yourselves. But it was always about, okay, what's the next promotion can I get? What's the next title can I achieve? What's the next tier of income can I get? What is, what else is, and as soon as I would achieve that next level, I was on already ready to be like, okay, this is not, it's still something's missing, something's still not fulfilling me all the way. What's the next one? What can I already start doing to go ahead and start to achieve the next level and the next level and the next level? The biggest one for me was, who am I without this title? Who am I without this six-figure paycheck that defines me? Because I had spent my life defining myself as a successful businesswoman, as a successful person because of my career and because of my title and because of my paycheck. To all of a sudden go to no paycheck. I don't know when my next paycheck is coming in. I don't know if this is going to work out or not. I don't know how this is going to go. I just know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I just know deep down in my soul that this is where I'm supposed to be going. And I just know that I already feel more fulfilled on a soul level just by doing this and taking this step to go down this path and do what I know that I'm called here to do. But there's this humanness aspect of fear and doubt that comes in, and of, all right, how am I going to pay the bills? I love that I'm following I love that I'm following my passion. I love that I'm following my purpose and what I'm supposed to be doing. But how do I redefine, and I think that was the biggest journey in the beginning for me, was redefining who I am. It was a journey to refinding who I am without the title and without the paycheck and without the accolades and without this external validation from a company or a business or a boss or whatever it may be. And kind of, it took me, I'm not gonna lie, it actually really took me for a spin. Like, there were some times in the beginning where I really took a hit to my ego and to my self-worth and to, self-doubt in general of like, oh my God, can I actually do this? Because all of a sudden, I wouldn't say it was like I was starting over from zero, because that's actually the misconception that I get a lot with new entrepreneurs, is like, you're all of a sudden in this new field and in this new area and you think that you're starting from zero. But what you really need to remember is that you're starting from experience, and all of these experiences that you're accumulated over in your life and who you are and the things that you've done up until now. And it doesn't have to just pertain to your job or your career and your life and what you've accomplished as a mother and what you've accomplished as a friend and what you've accomplished as a spouse and a partner. And there's so many things that make up who you are as a person on a soul level and a, love and light level, I really like to say, that really deserves merit in itself, of rediscovering who you are and re-identifying as that person, as this person who is, just so warm with friends, and you think of who you are within your friend groups and who you are to yourself and how you can recommit to yourself every day, and the things that you hold yourself accountable for, and your own self-love, which is a huge part of re-identifying and recalibrating who you really are. The identity shift, I would have to say, is probably one of the biggest ones in the beginning, and it's terrifying and liberating at the same time.
Yeah.
There's so much to untangle from your self-worth attached to a paycheck and a title and a job and a career that you never realized actually really kind of defined who you were in all areas of your life. And you had let that define yourself in all areas of your life and not your just career. But when all of a sudden, when that's stripped away, it's really interesting of how you're kind of forced to go and discover who you are all over again. And you end up discovering that you're actually more powerful than you even thought in the
Yeah.
first place.
Yeah, I think everything you're saying makes so much sense. And I think that I can definitely relate. And I think so many people that are listening are going to resonate with this. So many shifts and mindset blocks that you have to overcome. But what is incredible about your story and so many others, including myself, we were actually accomplished and really successful in the line of work that we were doing. And yet, making this shift and going into this new life and changing our careers has challenged us in so many ways. And it's basically shook the foundation that
Yeah.
we're on. I mean,
It's
can
so true.
you?
I love that. Shook the foundation. It's so true. It rocks you. It rocks
It
you
really
so
does.
hard. It really
It
does.
does. And I think that it's one of those things that really makes you uncomfortable. But the thing that I like about discomfort, no matter how uncomfortable it feels, it does mean that you're growing, and it does mean that you're basically becoming a new version of yourself.
Lean in.
So,
I just
so,
say lean
so,
in.
so tell me about like the some of the things that because I know that you've been doing this a lot longer than I have. What have, if you had to compare yourself to when you were working in full-time employment in this really successful role, what would you say that your biggest growth moments have been and the biggest progress that you've made?
Oh, I definitely, it for me, it always goes back to self-worth. And maybe that's a personal thing because that's also something I really struggled with, and that this goes back to childhood wounds and parent wounds and all of it. And it ends up coming up, as an adult in your career, usually first, and then more, and then your relationships, and then it trickles everywhere else. For me, the biggest one was it, definitely self-worth. I would make myself smaller all the time to fit into these boxes and confines and constructs and labels and certain positions to become who I thought I needed to be in order to be successful in that situation, self reform. And that was always a huge thing for me, even in relationships growing up as, a teenager and, young relationships and learning and businesses as well of like, all of a sudden forming to become this person that I thought I needed to be in order to be successful there rather than being authentic to myself. And I think that was a big peeling back of the layers for me in the beginning was, and this is something I find that is very common amongst a lot of my clients, is the fear of expressing yourself and being seen in full expression and full authenticity. I remember going through my own first coaching experience and having my own first mentor. And that was the first thing. And I remember saying to her, I was like, I don't even know who I am. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you who I am. I couldn't tell you which thoughts in my head were actually my real intuition versus what I was making up for myself or what I thought I should think or tell myself to be thinking or say out loud. I had literally become this constant, I guess, machine of operating on how I thought I should versus who I actually was. And that was, I guess, a trickling based off of, again, childhood of conforming to, acting like I thought I should in order to be accepted by external validation in situations and people and forms and businesses and whatever that may be. I think that was a huge part for me of definitely the self-worth and just authenticity in general. Finding my voice, finding who I was. The biggest thing was letting go of the people pleasing. I mean, the perfectionism in itself of, this imposter syndrome of I'm not good enough yet because I have to be X, Y, and Z in order to, which is a huge one, especially when you're starting your own business, because then you're just like, who am I to be doing this? Especially as a coach, as a business and life coach, and I know you get this, who am I to be coaching somebody? I don't have my life together yet. I don't know all the answers.
Yeah, I need to do this course and I need to learn this before I'm ready.
Yes. Oh my God, it's so true. And I get that all the time with clients. I need to get certified and I need to be this, that. And I'm like, you have so much to offer. And honestly, I still struggle with this from time to time because it was so deeply seated in who I was. And for so long, for the first 30 years of my life, basically, it still is something that rears its head. And it's something that comes up on occasion of like, oh my God, I need to go do this and be an expert or perfectionist at this in order to lead people in this way. But that's actually not true. There is so much from my life experience and not just my business experience and experience in my marriage and my own relationships and saving my marriage. And I mean, there's just so many levels of things that I have to offer someone that may be, and I say this to my clients, you only need to be 2 steps ahead of the person that you're helping, not 10, not 20, not 100. You don't need to be this perfect put together expert. And it's also okay to be the leader and to be the expert in the room or the mentor or whatever, and still admit your thoughts and your faults in an authentic way. Like, oh, I'm not perfect at that. I still struggle with this, but here's what I learned going through my own journey. That was a huge thing for me because I always had this idea of a mentor or a teacher having to be this perfect person who didn't admit their faults in an authentic way, and they had to act like they had it all together in order to be credible in some way, shape, or form, which I've learned on my own journey is actually not true. And there are so many people out there that are ready to hire a mentor and are looking for mentorship, that are ready to be open and authentic in their own faults and missteps, and it's actually better. You want people that have walked through the fire rather than acting like they've made it up on top and maybe they didn't go through the same things that you did. Be like, nope, I know exactly what to tell you to do and how to advise you to go in this situation because I've been there, I've lived it, I've felt it, and it sucks and it's sticky, and I'm okay to admit that for you and through you and with you, because you're allowed to feel all of the ickiness through the whole journey and come out the other side and still admit that you're still working through it, and that it is never perfect, and that it is never like actually completely whole or full and perfect on the other side. It's a never-ending journey. It's a never-ending journey.
It really is. And I think this is the thing that people maybe don't understand when they make this change in life, that actually going through this transition, there is no magic wand. No one's going to knock on your door and give you the opportunities. You have to go through it. You have to work really hard. And I think that's what resilience is all about. It's about going through the challenges, facing adversity. So, I mean, like, I know that your clients are in very good hands because you have a lot of wisdom, you have a lot to share. Do you see that this is a common, repeated kind of misconception with your clients that, I didn't expect the journey to be like this. I thought it was going to be a lot easier. What are the patterns that you're seeing?
100%, and I was one of them. I was one of them, I was like, okay, this is going to be great. It's all going to just line up for me because I'm in my purpose, and so it just has to, right? Like, I was there. I was one of them. I was totally one of them. And it's so common, and it's like clockwork. It's repetitive. I often have my clients, and when they first start working with me, it's like I always have the same things start to show up. It's this fear of, being seen in their full expression. A lot of it is me coaching people to show up in their imperfection, show up messy, show up scared, do it anyways. Just start taking the first steps, because the perfect you is never going to exist. You're never going to actually get to the mindset. Even me, even you, even someone further ahead of me, no matter where you are in your journey, you're never going to actually think you're perfect, because if you are, which all of my clients are, a very high performing, ambitious individual who wants something big and has big dreams, it's never going to be perfect in your mind, because you're constantly going to be striving for more. It's just not. We are naturally these ambitious, very high performing individuals. We were high performing in our corporate careers, so we're going to be high performing and reaching for big dreams and big stuff in our entrepreneurial careers. We just are. And so it's really important to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and get comfortable with showing up in the imperfection, and showing up in the fear, and showing up in the messiness, and showing up anyways. And you just start by taking that one first step that's in front of you. Just start by doing one action step, even in the messiness, even in the scaredness, because that's what will compound effect this. All of a sudden you're going to wake up and you're going to be standing in your dream life. You're going to be like, oh my God, I did this. Oh my God. Like, there are those moments where I'm like driving in my dream car and I'm like, oh my God, I manifested this. This was a dream for me, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And I'm living in this at this moment. And back then you thought it was just going to appear like a magic wand. Like I said, I'm just going to be in my purpose and everything's going to just show up for me, which would be great. If we're going to create that one, if we have a coach on here at one point in one time that's going to create that for us, I'm in. But it's this compounded energy of actions and energy and alignment. And I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing, so I'm just going to take one step today, even scared. And when you are doing these steps and these actions and these aligned actions in the fear and in the messiness anyways, you're growing from them, because all of a sudden what you did last week that was scary is no longer scary this week. So there's your growth. Compounded. And you would be absolutely shocked, again, to be one day standing and driving your dream car or whatever this may be, and running your dream business and having these dream aligned clients, and being so grateful for this reality that you've actually created in the fear and in the imperfection and in the messiness and in all of it. I mean, other things that show up for my clients is again, it's always goes back to the self-worth, but it's this scarcity mindset of it's not enough. It's not, when is it going to show up? How is it going to show up?
Yeah, the impatience, I definitely feel really impatient. I set myself a goal, and then when it doesn't happen tomorrow, I'm like, what? This is not working for me.
It is. It's so hard. And again, that's a huge one for me. And this is so common for very ambitious, high performing people. You're so used to being like, okay, let's get it done. Let's go. We are ready to move. We're ready to see the results. We're ready to see the action. And this is what entrepreneurship does. This is what the self journey does. This self-growth journey does, is it really pushes these boundaries of what we define as time. And I'll be completely honest, for me, the biggest thing that this self journey that is done and my entrepreneurial journey has done for me is bring about my faith in the universe, my faith in God, my faith in a higher power, my faith in the divine timing of it all, the divine timing of my own journey. The biggest thing for me was learning to give myself grace with the patience of, like, I always had it in my head of, like, again, very ambitious, high performing, executive, okay, in 3 years I want to be here. In 2 years I want to be here. And I want to already have the CEO title, and I want to already have the VP title, or whatever that may be. Whereas once you get into this side of it, of this self journey side, of this soul evolution side of it, it's like, you can't rush your destiny, and you almost start to view it from this place of, what am I in a hurry for, after all? What is it really all about? And yes, money comes into a part of it, and there is a very big part of that, of like, yeah, we all have bills to pay, and there is a very real side of this, of, really trying to make the realistic parts of this happen, of what we actually need in our life as far as paying bills and having something that, brings us forward and whatever, to like as soon as you align to the energy side of it, is like, I'm in no rush to get to this, I guess, destiny is so to say of it, because as soon as you're embodying your higher self on an energetic level, on a mindset level, you actually realize that you're already there. You're already there if you're living in it in your mindset and in your energy level. And the more you align with that, it again, it compounds and compounds and compounds. And all of a sudden you wake up one day and it's actually showing up in your 3D reality. And your scarcity mindset and your thinking around your worth is what dissolves first the more you live as your higher self on an energetic level in your mindset, and then it shows up in your 3D reality. A big thing that the clients go through in the beginning is, they don't know what to charge and their pricing, and they go back and forth about messing with their pricing and what they want to do. And that's a huge energetic exercise that I do a lot of the time. I call it your energetic set point, your money set point. And that's a huge one as well. And then the imposter syndrome, it's disguised of their perfectionism, and they constantly do, which we all do, and I still do. We will constantly be breaking free of the perfectionist and the people pleasing, I guess conditioning that we've had our entire lives. But it's this idea that you will constantly self-sabotage yourself on every offer you put out there, on every idea that you have in your business, because you think you have to rework it and it's not perfect yet, or the messaging's not perfect yet. You know how many times I've launched something and the messaging wasn't perfect, and then I went back and you relaunched it again and you redo it again. And I've launched so many, I can't even tell you, I've launched so many free different masterminds. I do these little free 3-day masterminds to call people into my one-on-one coaching, and it's usually a little free 3 days on Voxer Chat. I love them, and I found them so amazing. I've had a lot of really successful ones with amazing people in them. You know how many times I've launched those where nobody showed up? Nobody showed up. No one signed up. You still show up. Guess what? And my mentor taught me this too. She's like, do it anyways. Do it anyways.
Do it. Yeah.
Do it for yourself. You're going to act like you're going to show up on social media like you have 15 people lined up for it anyways.
Love
and
that.
And it's not from an inauthentic, I'm trying to be fake, scenario. It's a literally and I say this a lot. It's a fake it till you make it, but it's not a fake it till you make it. It's a faith it till you make it. It's a
But
literally.
it's also a learning curve, isn't it?
It is, and
You learn.
it's putting yourself in this energetic frequency of this is actually happening already. It's done. It's happening already. It's already, this is what we're doing. I'm having this amazing, mastermind with lots of people in it, and they want to be here, and it's super exciting. I must have launched at least 10, maybe a little bit less than 10, but I must at least 10 over months, of course. And over, I think it's been 18 months, I guess, of doing these were crickets, absolute crickets. But I showed up every time and did it again. And I showed up every time and did it again. Because you never know. And I think that's the other part is you never know. There's that resilience. And that was there you go, right there, the learning curve. Is building that resilience of what if the next time works? What if the next time 15 people do come in? What if the next time it is where all the clients start coming in? What if the next time is when all of a sudden it all starts to work and it all starts to flow, and I tweak my messaging and I grow from it, and something's different and the energy's different, and you keep going and you keep pushing and it's constant.
Yeah, no, I really love that about you. I think that this is really key for somebody who wants to do this in their life. You have to keep trying again. It's never going to be perfect, and it is a learning curve. It's a process. You have to keep going. But I really love how you were talking about scarcity and money. This is something that I'm experiencing on my journey. So I've realized that my self-worth is so tightly attached to how much money I have in my account that this is where I start to I guess this is what actually really rocks me, and it makes me so shaky that I feel like I can't move forward. Sometimes when I haven't got any money in my account, it really makes everything feel so uncertain. So when you're having those days where it's crickets, you've launched something, it's crickets, the money's running out, what do you do to balance the ambition that you have and the vision that you have? You're clearly very, very determined, and you really want to make this work. But then you have to regulate yourself, because there's all this reality of, I've got zeros, minuses in my account. What do you do when you get to that kind of stage?
It's and it's such a big part of early entrepreneurship, and it's so real and it's so raw, and I've been there doing it. It's and I have a son and a family and a house, and you the first thing I do for me, and the first thing I do even for my clients, is, I mean, I'm a strong believer in meditating. I go back to what works for me about getting grounded in regulation. So first thing I do is meditate. I always have to go back to my due north, my vision. Why am I doing this? What is this actually for? A lot of it ends up also being about, like, take myself out of the equation. Take myself out of the equation and go back to who you're doing this for. Because me and you are very similar. Like, not all my clients are actual coaches. Some of them are doing different kinds of businesses. But for me and you, who are here we want to serve a higher purpose. We want to serve other people who want to change their lives, and who want to, embark on this new journey of finding themselves and finding their purpose, which is such a deeper mission. I make it about that, because that in itself is abundance. That in itself is what love, light, and abundance is about. So it's about getting back into the frequency of abundance rather than money itself, because there's so many different layers of what abundance is. Abundance is love. Abundance is light. Abundance is helping someone else outside yourself. Abundance is giving love back to yourself. What can you do today about getting in alignment, about giving love back to yourself? Because frequency, again, we know the laws of the universe, and it's so hard. I know this is so much easier said than done. And I know it is so hard, and is constantly something that we go through as entrepreneurs, because there are constantly ebbs and flows. There isn't a daily paycheck that comes in every day, and there isn't. And even the best coaches out there that are making millions, it's not like they're making, millions every single day. Maybe they made $1 million that month, but maybe there was a little bit of a low day. So how do they hold themselves and feel like, oh my God, something didn't, work out today? What's wrong? Where are not the sales? There's such a different, and there are different levels and layers to this at each stage of income of whatever you're making. But the biggest thing is, like, how can we get back into the frequency of feeling and being abundant without it being tied to actual money? And that's the only thing that we can do. We can control ourselves. We can control our mindsets. We can control our frequencies. We can control how we're managing, how we show up in the world and in the universe for our clients and for ourselves. So my biggest thing is what I can do today to tap into the frequency of abundance that doesn't tie me and define me by money. And again, so much easier said than done. I know it is. I know it is when you have bills to pay. And then again, for me, it's leaning into faith. God's got a bigger plan. I have to believe that God has a bigger plan. I know that God's going to show up for me. And I'll make an example. This is because it's freaking scary. It is so scary, especially in the beginning when you have bills to pay. I went from making, multiple six figures a year to being like, I have X, Y, and Z saved in my account. We don't know how we're going to do this. We have maybe 3 months worth of savings to get us by for our expenses, right? To really start to see something to come in. I don't know how this is going to work out, but we're just going to take this leap of faith and we're going to go, because I know, for me specifically, there had become a pivotal moment in my corporate career where it was like, this is no longer serving me, you got to leave. They had gotten toxic. There were some, very toxic situations going on, and it had become very much of like a clear, like, all right, this is your sign from the universe. It's time to go. And so, and honestly, if I had already been on this journey and hadn't already been working on my business, etc., and I hadn't already done so much work on myself up to this point, I don't know if I ever would have actually left. I probably would have again, before you're doing this inner work, you put up with the toxic cycles, you put up with the toxic people, you put up with the toxic situations, you stay in situations that are no longer serving you because you convince yourself that that's the only way. That's the only way that you can make money. That's the only way that you're worthy. That's the only way that you can be successful in this scenario, only, shape or form. So taking that leap is a really big deal. And again, if I hadn't been on this journey, I don't know if I would have actually done it. But having this faith and having this, not only faith in God and the universe, but having the faith in myself, which was a huge one, to being able to be like, I don't know how this is going to work, but it's going to work out because it just has to. We're going to figure it out. I literally, within the first couple months, again, we had like enough saved to kind of be like a cushion for these couple months. But then all of a sudden, the cushion started trickling away, and the clients were not pouring in the way I thought they would. And I swear to God, I don't know how, but all of a sudden, I would like get a random check in the mail. Or all of a sudden, I had this massive tax return. Or all of a sudden, that month got us by. Our mortgage was paid, our cars were paid for, whatever. We were down to our last dollar by the end of the month, and then we got a big, massive check in the mail. We were down to our last dollar in the month, and then all of a sudden, my husband and I, we own a family-owned business, a deli in town near our house. All of a sudden, the deli did really well that month, and we got a lot of extra money. Like, random stuff like that would just appear and show up out of nowhere. Has nothing to do with my coaching business, has nothing to do with me and me directly earning money. But because I was really adamant about tapping into that frequency of abundance and doing my inner work and being really on it about me and my frequency, because that's all we can ever do. All of this external stuff, the universe does not match your effort, which is another big one that we have to unravel from coming out of corporate. The universe doesn't match your effort. It matches your frequency. It matches your energy. And the only thing that we have control of as humans is our energy and our frequency and our mindset. And so if you can constantly show up as your higher self and constantly tap into that and constantly get back into the frequency, just bring it back home, get back centered, go do a meditation, go do what you got to do. And it's so hard. I'm busy. I have a toddler. I have in-laws in my house visiting. I have a million things to do. And it's so hard to find time for yourself. And the old version of me probably wouldn't have. And I probably would have let my own self-care and my own mindset go to the wind while taking care of everybody else except for myself. But that's what led to my burnout in corporate America. That's what led to my misalignment in my own marriage. That's what led to my misalignment in myself and me not knowing who I was and not being able to listen to my intuition. It all comes back to you being able to find your center and taking care of yourself and tapping to the frequencies, because I promise it's going to work out. If you're in alignment, and that's how you know you're in alignment. If you are in alignment with your purpose, if it feels like a full body hell yes, and you're not forcing something, it feels like it's flowing, it feels like this is what you're supposed to be doing, and it's something that is really truly fulfilling, that's all we can do in life. It really is.
Yeah, you make so much sense, because I think that's another thing that I've really had to detach myself from, the amount of money that I have in my account, because actually you're right, you're so right. In actual fact, you're always going to be okay. The money is going to come from somewhere, and it always does. And I think that we have this habit of thinking that no, we have to have a certain amount, or no, we have to have the safety net. And in actual fact, there is a higher energy and a higher power that has always got your back. The universe has always got your back. And I think that, this word abundance is so key here.
Yeah.
Trying to be abundant and not worry about when the next paycheck is going to come in, because you're so right. If your energy is right, then the universe rewards you. And I've had moments of this as well. I think there might be quite a few people thinking, what on earth are these two talking about? But I mean, can you yeah, go for it. I know you're going to say something really key here.
I mean, it's a huge piece of that. This was a huge one for me, because again, going from being defined by a title and a massive paycheck, and I have a lifestyle that was supported by that number of paycheck. And this is when I go into the energetic set points of money, right? Okay. I'm not, and I'll be honest, I'm not earning the same amount of money that I was earning in my corporate career still yet. Let's be very clear. Yet. I'm not earning the same amount, but I still have the same bills and I still have the same house and I still drive the Range Rover and I still, like I still have the same lifestyle. And somehow the money shows up every month. I don't know how. I don't know how to explain it to you. I don't have the same amount in my bank account that I did when I was working full time, but for some reason it always shows up. But this is what I'm saying is like the word abundance was such a big thing for me. And defining, and again, this was another part of it, defining what success means, defining what makes you successful. What makes you successful? Did you make a difference in someone's life today? Were you able to impact today? You are impacting someone right now by recording this podcast episode. You don't know who's going to listen to this and who's going to show up one day and how this is going to trickle and trickle effect into your life. This is your, contribution to the world. This is something that you're doing and that you're doing that's in alignment for yourself. You and us, me talking about this is doing something for our mindset to get back onto this life. You constantly feeding into your own energy, into your own vessel, I'd like to say, is what is making you abundant, is what is making you successful, is what is fulfilling you, is what is filling up that bank account. And when I say the energetic set point, it's like, and this is such a big one, and I actually have an episode on my podcast, if you want to go listen to it, about expanding your energetic container for money. And you literally, I do visualizations for this even, and meditations and all types of stuff of like actually expanding this container of what it means. So when I talk about energetic set points for money, it's like, okay, how much money on average is in your bank account? How much money are you used to seeing that ebbs and flows out of that? Okay, when you get paid, it's usually this amount. When you pay all your bills by the end of the month, it's usually this amount. And it just happens to be that every month, like clockwork, right? What would happen if you would create this vision in your head that those numbers look different? Because at the end of the day, this is all we're talking about is numbers on a screen, right? We're living in the age where we're talking about, it's no longer really cash in your hand, it's numbers on a screen. So what would happen when those digits change in your head? When you can visualize those numbers on a screen be different, and then you dream about it, and you write about it, and you journal about it. And like, I do all of these kinds of exercises of having it be repetitive and have it be this visualization of what would it feel like to have that much. And then there's somatic work that comes into it, like in your heart space, in your body. What does it feel like to be supported by money? Which that's a big one that I dive into even myself, when sometimes it ebbs and flows a little too much and it's getting a little bit lower than I'd like it to. It's like, what does it feel like in my heart and in my body to feel like I'm supported by money and that it's all going to be okay and that it's all going to work out this month? It's such a big, mind, body, spirit thing, but I really go back to the somatic part of like, oh, I can breathe. Oh, my shoulders relax. Oh, I'm out here sitting on my back porch with my son while he's playing in the little water play thing. And I am not up in my head worried about blah, 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 because I'm present. I'm being present here with my son. You know what abundance is? Me having the time freedom to sit here on the back porch with my son and watch him play, where otherwise I'd be sitting in an office in front of a computer if I was still at my 9 to 5. That's what abundance is. Right. Gratitude, 100%. You sit in your body. How does it feel right now? The presence thing is huge. How does it feel right now in this space for me to be sitting on this back porch in the sunshine with my son playing in his little toys and enjoying this moment rather than to be up in my head and worried about money? That's abundance. That's fulfillment. So tapping into that frequency and tapping into the frequency, and somehow by me tapping into those frequencies of abundance everywhere else in my life and success everywhere else in my life, money always shows up for me.
Yeah,
New clients always show up for me.
I had a coach that used to say to me, "There's billions of pounds flying around the universe all the time. Why is it that you cannot call upon that billions of pounds?" And I always just look at her thinking, what are you talking about? But it's so true about the energy. If we are in abundance, we can call upon that energy because money is energy. It is totally energy, right?
Well, so you go into this as a new entrepreneur. You convince yourself that, you just started this business. You're just starting out. So you aren't worthy of earning that much money yet. right? So I'm a newbie. I'm going to just, it's going to gradually start to trickle in, and I need to build my business, because that's what we've been taught and conditioned to believe how business works in the traditional world. But there are people out there all the time in building online businesses that make $100,000 a month in like a blink of an eye. And it has nothing to do with time. This is the other thing. Time is a construct that we have created. It's not about timing. It's not about, you can collapse time. You can quantum leap. And again, this is all in that episode about expanding your container. You can quantum leap in the 5D on a quantum level by tapping into the frequency of abundance without actually having the money. Because she's very right, this mentor. If you think about it, there are like hundreds and thousands of coaches out there that you see every day all over Instagram and TikTok and whatever they're doing, raking in millions over on their little Stripe app that just pop up on their phone like it's no big deal. Again, digits on a screen, that it's just like this effortlessness, and they're not showing up every day. They're not doing anything. It's not an effort thing. It's not in relation to the effort of them showing up every single day on Instagram or whatever they're doing. It's because they have tapped into the abundance frequency of what it feels like to have those digits come in on the screen all day long. Pop, new sale, bing, new sale. So what does it feel like to tap into those frequencies now? And again, it's this faith it till you make it. It's this visualization. It's this the delulu is the solulu, is one of the coaches called it. The delusional mindset is the solution. Because yeah. If you can actually tap into this idea of, I'm sitting out here on this back porch watching my son play in his little pool while I have thousands of dollars coming over on my Stripe, account from my phone, and I have new clients signing up every day for my account, and that's my new normal. I'm tapping into that feeling. How does it feel? I'm imagining it. I'm seeing the digits pop up on my screen. I'm seeing it's so, again, always easier said than done, but this is the work. This is what it is, to be able to get to that point of being able to believe in yourself and believe in your business and believe in your mission and your worth, that you are worthy to have those digits pop up on your screen without having to show up on and sit on the back porch with your son.
I mean, it takes some practice, but
huge practice. It's all about training and practice.
But what we're saying is that it's completely possible. So keep going, guys. Like, it's definitely possible. But I think that, and one of the things that you said earlier, which I really loved, is the intention that you're doing the work with as well. Like, if you're doing it with the mindset of, I'm here to serve and not to make X amount of money, actually you'll start to see it flow anyway, because you're doing it with the right intention to help others, to give back to others. So I just wanted to kind of go back to that, because I think it's quite an important point. I think you've said so much in this podcast that I think is you've offered so much value. One of the things that I wanted to sort of tap into now is that there's a bit of a balance of taking action and making sure you're showing up, but also being in abundance and knowing and having faith and knowing that everything's going to be all right. Is there anything that if there's somebody who's like thinking, I'm wanting to take the leap, I want to start my own business, what would you say to that person about having that balance? Because it's so hard to strike. I'm sure you'll agree. It's such a hard balance to strike.
It's so hard to strike, especially if you're past conditioned to constantly be in hustle mode. Again, a lot of my clients, including myself, are high achievers, high performers, really ambitious people. We have been conditioned by society our entire lives that effort equals, money, effort equals achievement, effort equals success. And again, it's something that I constantly still decondition myself on a daily basis, and it is such a huge thing. But it goes back to leaning into this faith that there is a higher power and that the universe does align based off of a frequency versus effort, and that you are not defined as such. There is this huge deconstruction of defining your worth based off of your effort, which is a huge one as well. But I always find for me and for my clients and this is something new that I've also kind of launched as like a piece in my new course, which is the Elevated Philosophy. You guys can find on my website. It's amazing. It's basically a condensed version in a downloadable PDF of what I do in my one-on-one coaching. And so it's a little bit lower price point, and it's a way to kind of do these exercises and journal prompts on your own. But what I say is, if it's not a full body hell yes, then it's a no. You made this leap on purpose to follow your purpose and to get these full body hell yeses, right? You made this leap to go into entrepreneurship, not because you thought it was going to be this, really easy, extremely abundant thing, which is one reason. Let's all say, we want it to be this amazingly successful, easeful piece. But it's also because we wanted to follow our purpose. We wanted to follow something that was calling us, something that was bigger than us. And so if you're going to go ahead and go down this path, then why would we repeat these old habits and old patterns of our old selves of forcing action and forcing things and doing things that no longer align with us because we convince ourselves that that's what's going to make us successful? So if you're now here designing your life and designing your business to fit into this new reality and new version of yourself and life that you want to live, then why repeat old patterns? For example, am I going to wake up at 6 o'clock a.m. and work 6 hours, 8 hours a day, and then get back on my computer at night and work till midnight again after my son goes to sleep? Like, no, I got out of corporate America because I didn't want to work 60, 70 hours a week without being valued or paid for them. Like, I'm doing this for a reason to align with the lifestyle that I want. So this is also super important to remember while you're building this business, to not get all wrapped up in with doing, because I'm convincing myself that that's what's going to make this get off the ground and be successful. Mm-hmm. Versus the being. Go do the inner work, go to the meditation, go to the visualizations, make sure you're doing your own journaling, make sure you're embodying and you're walking the talk of what you're teaching your clients and what you're doing. And you're really integrating this knowledge that you're teaching these other people, whatever it may be, because especially in my case, because we're coaches, again, not all my clients are coaches, but it's this embodiment piece that speaks louder and moves more mountains in your business and in yourself, because at the end of the day, this is also a lot about our own journey and our own development and our own evolution as self. Again, entrepreneurship is a mirror. Your business will only be as successful as much as you have evolved yourself and you have integrated it yourself and you have embodied it yourself. And I saw this so much in the early days for myself because I was so obsessed with learning this new thing and getting this new certification of it and how I could teach it so I could have this next thing to teach and I could put this next course out for them. But then I would do all this work, learn this new thing, do this new journal prompt, create this new course, put it out there without integrating it myself, without realizing it was something that I need to embody and do the work on myself. And of course it didn't sell. Of course it didn't work. Of course it just went out there and it just started floating. So one of the things I do now is if I put a course out there, I'm going to go do it. Yes, it comes from my head and it's something that I'm writing and doing as it's flowing out of me. But this, for example, this new Elevated Philosophy course, I literally did the whole thing, put it out there, put the whole packet in front of myself and started doing the work myself. I've done it before, but to really sit there and to really integrate it, even after it's come out of my vessel, to really sit there and do the work and to integrate it. And I swear to God, once I finished it and did the course, it was like in the next week, sales started rolling in. It just popped off. So it's about, it's again, being in alignment with inspired action. And again, this was something I was doing as a new entrepreneur. It's like I had to convince myself that I needed to get courses out in order to make money. And they were coming from this forced place of me feeling like I had to create something in order to make money from it versus it's coming from an inspired place. Like this offer that I just created came from something that I feel like people really need in their lives at a lower price point that's maybe more accessible to more people. Maybe it's something about about reaching people at an accessibility level as far as time freedom. Maybe someone doesn't have the time to be in a one-on-one coaching situation all the time. I'm making this accessible from a money standpoint and from a time standpoint. Maybe this person just wants to dip their toe in. That's what really this course is for. You're getting what I'm teaching, but you're getting it on a more self-paced thing where they can go back and do this work and have the, because again, I just want my work to be accessible to people. I just want to help people. I just want to change someone's life. So if for me doing my purpose and living in my purpose and having it come from this inspired place of like, this is someone really needs this, like I feel like this could really change somebody's life. It came from this really inspired, passionate place. That's when something's going to take off and actually do well for you. And watch it happen. I mean, I've done it so many times where I put little courses out there and they flopped, and again, nothing happened. And same thing with the free masterminds things. No one signs up, no one comes in because I didn't believe in it. I didn't believe there was a gap in my own belief of how I thought I could help people. There was a gap in my own belief of, what impact I could actually make by putting this out there. And again, that comes back to your self-imposter syndrome and your self-worth and all of it. It is, the balance is so hard, and it's something I constantly decondition myself of this do versus be. So where can I be? Where can I tap into abundance versus act like I'm, flashing around whatever I have in my life, or, whatever it may be. Where can I integrate the work more within myself versus constantly feel like I have to be taking action somewhere or whatever in order to feel productive or feel successful.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a great reminder for me as well. You're inspiring me because I think it's so easy to go into misalignment, and it's so easy to stop being true to yourself because you're so used to an old version of yourself. And I think that sometimes you have to say to yourself, no, I'm a new version now. This is how I do things. And I want to be authentic. I want to be aligned. And I want to be true to myself and others. And that's when it kind of all comes together. So this is a really great reminder. And I really appreciate you sharing that. Do you want to, just before we finish up, do you want to let the listeners know how they can find you? Because I'm sure people will be wanting to know more about your work.
Yeah, absolutely. So my business name and my tag name is The Elevated Executive. You can find me. I'm on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, The Elevated Executive Podcast. Anupa has been on my podcast, and it was an amazing episode. So definitely go check that one out as well. I'm The Elevated Executive on Instagram and on TikTok, and on LinkedIn. You can find me, Adriana D'Onofrio. You can, of course, access all of my courses at theelevatedexec.com. I did launch the brand new The Elevated Philosophy course. It is $111, 111. And it, again, like I said, it's a 60-page downloadable PDF. Lots of a lot of things that we've gone over today, exercises, journal prompts, visualizations, meditations. There's just so much in this little condensed, course that I do within my one-on-one work that's at a more accessible price point. And it's such a great taste for what I do. So if you want to start there, start there. And then, of course, you can apply to work with me one-on-one through the link in my bio on Instagram.
Yeah, I definitely urge listeners to go and check Adriana out. I mean, I've done a lot of my learning, I'm going to admit. I watch you and I learn from you. So definitely go over and check Adriana out. So thank you so much once again for sharing so generously what this journey really requires. And honestly, I think that we've covered so much, and I think it's really great value for all of our listeners. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure, always a pleasure to connect with you. And it really was just so great. Thank you.
For anyone who is listening who is experiencing this shift or about to take the leap, keep going, stay resilient, and just know that this journey is a process which is shaping you towards success, whatever it may look like for you. I'm also so excited to share that I've been nominated for a Women in Podcasting Award, and the voting is opening on May the 1st, and I'll include all the details in the show notes along with Adriana's contact details. So please do vote. listen to the show, help spread the word, and please remember to subscribe, comment, like, and share this episode if it resonated with you. It really helps to get the message out to others who might need it. And as always, remember, resilience is your superpower.